Hello, welcome to Cooking with Cleo. Today we are going to be making a rotisserie style chicken. Now you can get these at Costco and Sam's Club for cheaper. I'm not gonna lie, it's cheaper to just get it there. But here we can control the flavors a little bit more, and it's also pretty easy to do. So, you know, I think it's skill everyone needs. Yeah, what do you think, Cleo? Come say hi to them. Oh, nope, she's running away. So because we don't want any cross-contamination, we are going to be making a seasoning mix that we will apply to the chicken, and you'll see how to do that in just a moment. For this seasoning mix, you will need some kosher salt, lemon pepper. You can omit this. You can add some of your own spices and flavors, rosemary. And then I do have baking soda. We're not gonna put this in the seasoning mix, but we'll talk about this in a minute. So we're gonna make a generous amount of this seasoning blend because it'll need a lot. And I think the more the better. This is probably a 1/4 cup of salt. And we don't have to use it all. Seasonings like this aren't very expensive, so I'm not too worried about wasting here. We won't have a lot left over. We might have a little bit. Go ahead and mix that together. And we have this beautiful seasoning mix. So that'll be fun. Ooh, I just almost spilled the whole thing. Okay. All right, so one of the keys here is to preheat your oven to 500. Yes, you heard me right, 500 degrees. The chicken will not cook at this temperature, but starting it at 500 and then bringing it down to 350 when you actually put the chicken in will help get a nice golden crust on the chicken's skin while not like burning the insides. Yes, dear. I don't know what she wants. For cooking the chicken, I'll be using this sheet pan with a wire rack on top. And then let's go ahead and grab the chicken out. Ideally, your chicken, if it's frozen, should thaw for a day before you bring it out. But my chicken did not get that opportunity. So I thawed it with cold running water for a long time. It's very bad for the environment when you do it that way, and I feel terrible when I do it that way, but gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Okay. My chicken is still a little frozen, so I'll leave him like this. This means it'll take a lot longer to cook. But we have our seasoning mix here. We can go ahead and throw it on. Be very generous here. And then if you have extra and you want to infuse some flavor, you can open up the cavity here and throw your seasonings in there. My cavity is frozen shut, but let's go ahead and rub this bird down with the seasonings. Actually, now that I'm doing this, I'm thinking I might have to allow this to sit and do this chicken tomorrow. So my dinner plans have been foiled. It's just a lot less thawed than I thought it was. So let's wash our hands, and we'll let this bird season overnight, and we'll come back to it. I really should have pulled it out beforehand. So just make sure you're giving yourself ample thawing time if it's like, okay, I need this to happen. And we'll worry about the baking soda tomorrow too. All right, so we've pulled out the chicken the next day, and Cleo and I are setting up our sheet pan. I like putting a wire rack over the pan. This helps with airflow while the chicken is in the oven. All the hot air can get all around the chicken. Now, as I promised, we're talking about baking soda. So this is a weird trick that my chef in culinary school taught me, and I've had moderate success with it, so we're gonna do it today. I've only made rotisserie chicken probably 5 or 6 times in my life, and most of those times I did not know Chef Ross's trick. So we are going to pull out this chicken. It's been in its salt brine, and this is actually really good for it. It really infuses the flavor of the seasoning if you let it sit for a couple days, and you can see that the cavity is open now, and we can put our hand in it, which you can take that moment to stuff more spices in. You could put some rosemary, you could put just fresh herbs of any kind. I just love rosemary, so I use it all the time when I'm doing chicken. And this is also how they make stuffing traditionally, but we're not going to do that today. Since I touched the chicken, we're going to wash our hands before we touch the baking soda. And then we're going to take the box of the baking soda and just lightly dust the top of the chicken with the baking soda. I will say I put a little bit too much on this part, and the skin was nice and crispy and beautiful, but it was a little too salty. So the baking soda can bring this salty flavor into it, and it's really important that you don't overdo it on this step. Our chicken has come out of the oven and it is looking beautiful. Look at that golden, crispy looking skin. And I'm about to show you how to butcher it. So we're really enjoying that look of the crispy skin. And this is really important. So when you need to cut up your chicken, if you want to keep it into nice sections, you can follow along here. If you want to just kind of massacre it and eat it, that's up to you. But I'm going to show you how to break it down. First, we're going to take a sharp knife and cut down the breastbone. And the chicken will naturally fall to one side or the other. We're going to start by working in the side that it naturally wants to fall to. The chicken is hot here, so just keep that in mind. It's very hot. You can wait till it cools a little bit. You could wear gloves, or you could use a carving fork to help handle the meat. But I'm going to go down along the ribs of the breast as I cut, and eventually the breast will give way and I'll be able to pull it off of the chicken. So we see a little bit of pink on the breast, and that might be concerning to some people, but I would not be concerned because this chicken is temped to 165. So I know that this chicken is done because 165 is the safe temperature for eating chicken. If you look closely, where we're cutting right now is right where the heart of the chicken would have been. So it is very common to have arteries and veins in that area, and so you'll see little pink spots. But it doesn't mean that it's not cooked all the way. It just means that you are eating an animal that has blood. So just make sure that the blood, the red spots, aren't moving or purging out, because that means it needs more time, and you can put it back in. Back on track here. So I have cut down the sides of the legs. There's a little piece of skin there that you can kind of open up, and you'll put your knife through that and slowly take off the legs by cutting down the bone. It'll be easier to see on this side. So why am I flipping it? That was bad, but whatever. So you'll see I'm cutting through. I'm going to find in between the two bones, there's going to be a tendon there, and I'm going to cut through that tendon so that we can remove the leg. It might be a little tricky to find, and you might have to kind of jiggle your knife a little bit, but we have our legs cut off now. And we can start looking at the wings. So the wings are kind of falling off the bones here, and they'll kind of just fall off naturally. But I guess I decided that I wasn't gonna cut the wings, and I'm going back to the breast to cut the breast. and it is hot. So you could see me kind of flinch at the heat and the steam of the chicken, but I'm gonna still slide along the bones. If you're sliding along the bones while you're cutting any sort of meat, you're usually gonna get a really good yield from it. And that's basically what I want you to see. I think it is easier to get a more to the bone cut when the chicken or whatever meat it is raw. It's a lot easier to pull it off the bones, but this is kind of cooked onto the bones now, so you're not going to get a perfectly beautiful cut here, and that's okay. But you can see this breast, it looks beautiful. It's got the nice crispy skin, and I think it looked really good. So let's go ahead and take the breast off the other side, and we'll finish up the rest of the chicken. Okay, so we've got that breast off, and it also looks I was really proud of the crispiness of the skin on this. I was not proud of the fact that it was so salty, but honestly, it was just the skin that was too much. I like the skin. Lots of people peel it off, but I usually eat the skin. The skin was too salty, but the meat itself was really delicious and flavorful. So now we're flipping the bird, and we're going to finish cutting off that wing. Just hold the wing out from its body, and then once again you're going to follow the natural curving of the body and the bones, and you're just going to go down till you hit a bone, and then you got to find the tendon in between the two bones and shave it right off. And then you can go ahead and find the tendon in between the smallest wing bone and the middle wing bone and cut that off as well. It kind of looks not great. Honestly, once again, this is a cut that's a lot easier to do when the chicken is raw, but it's pretty good here, and the wings can be really flavorful and very good. So we're gonna go ahead and take off this next wing, and you can follow along. And once again here, we're just sliding down the body, finding that tendon, and cutting through the tendon. And then once you've got the wing off, you can see this is the full wing bit. Sometimes people do eat the wings just completely full like that, and sometimes you can go to restaurants and get them completely intact, but usually we like cutting them completely off. Now I'm going to show you the most tender piece of the chicken right here. It's called the oyster, and it's just right up next to where the thigh is, kind of where the hip bones would be, if you can imagine a chicken where their hip bones are. And then you can go ahead and cut. Once again, everything is just as close to the bone as you can possibly do it. And this piece of meat is just so flavorful, so juicy, and so tender. So this is called the oyster, and I'm gonna eventually do a chicken video where you can see me butchering a raw chicken, because I think it's a lot easier to see the individual pieces. So I've hit the oyster here, and I'm taking off the thigh. Once again, you can see kind of pinkish stuff here, but this is also the darker meat of the chicken, so you're gonna see a little more red here. And as long as the chicken is temping to that 165, do not be concerned. You can eat it. If it grosses you out, I'm sorry. Shove it in the microwave, do whatever you can, cover it in sauce, but honestly, this is just an animal, and we're eating it, and I think we should all be okay with that at this point. And then go ahead and cut off the other thigh and oyster pieces. And then I'm going to meet you back, and we're going to assemble the chicken and look at all the parts and talk about them just a little bit before we finish. So if you were in a culinary competition you would actually assemble your chicken back together to show them your cuts. Now, I would get an absolute terrible grade on this. This would be bad. But you usually do raw chickens when you're at culinary competition. So you would put like the spine and rib in the center, and then you would assemble the chicken as if it wasn't cut, and just put it up in like basically a diagram. Apparently I didn't actually reassemble the chicken for you. I'm sorry. Life was crazy, and it's been a minute since I actually made this. And but I made some sides on the side. Mashed potatoes and zucchini. And then once you put it all together, this is what it looks like. This is the only picture I took, and it's not that best. But the chicken was great, and I hope you enjoy.